What an ugly performance by this Packers football team here in week 5. Dropping down to 2-3 right before their bye week, losing to the Las Vegas Raiders 17-13 on Monday Night Football. Man, this game was just ugly. Primarily with the offense, but just overall another poor performance by the Packers in the first half. A very poor performance by this offense. And again, just an ugly game. And now the Packers have a losing record at 2-3. This offense has not been clicking. There's a lot to clean up going into this bye week. And now we look ahead to Denver after the bye week and think, is that even a gimme game? Like, can this Packers team even beat the Denver Broncos? I thought tonight was going to be a win by the Green Bay Packers. I was pretty confident in that. I couldn't have been more wrong. This Packers team has a lot of problems. There's still some good, but man, there was a lot of bad tonight. I'm here to give my instant thoughts and reaction to this Week 5 loss to the Raiders. Now, before we dive into a lot of the negative in this game, I wanted to start off with something a little bit positive in that I'm still giving away this Lucas Van Ness full-size signed helmet. Thank you to Mojo Fantasy. The way you enter in this giveaway is simply go down in the description, click the link, and download Mojo Fantasy. Mojo's an excellent fantasy sports app that combines stocks and player prop. It's a very unique type of betting website, so even when the Packers are losing, maybe you can at least make a little bit of money and still enter in this Lucas Van Ness signed helmet giveaway. So go down in the description and check out Mojo Fantasy. All right, so now let's dive into this game. And it's going to get a little ranty here because it's just the same things keep happening with this football team. And it's honestly just awful to see. This was definitely Jordan Love's worst game as a pro. And the past few weeks, this offense has just not clicked at all. And yes, Aaron Jones isn't out there. You know, I thought he was going to play this week. I thought he would have no pitch count this week. And then all of a sudden, he's not in this game. He's questionable and then ruled out today. So I don't know if his hamstring injury flared up again or something of that sort. But honestly, for the first time, the running game for the Packers wasn't why the offense didn't click today. Like, the running game was okay. Like, it did its job when it needed to. It was the passing game that was absolutely abysmal today against a Raiders defense that isn't good. The Packers made this Raiders football team look way better than they are. I'm giving credit to the Raiders team. They did exactly what they needed to win, intercepting Jordan Love 3 times and scoring when they needed to. So again, I'm giving credit to this Raiders team, but man, the Packers just made them look like one of the best 2-3 teams in the league. Jordan Love finished this game 16 of 30, 182 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, a 32.2 quarterback rating. And like I said, this was definitely his worst game as a pro, his worst game of the season. He made poor decisions. He wasn't making accurate throws. The first interception directly to Robert Spillane. The second interception kind of just stared down en route to Christian Watson, and Marcus Peters made a break on the ball, tipped it up. Robert Spillane with another interception. And then, of course, to end the game on 3rd and 10, you don't even need it all, right? It's 4-down territory. Your defense continues to give you a chance to win this game, and you're taking a shot into the end zone, underthrowing a ball to a 6'5" wide receiver, Christian Watson, and a cornerback makes an excellent play on the ball for your 3rd interception. Game over. There's been times this season where we're impressed by Jordan Love, and this game doesn't define Jordan Love, but man, the inconsistency of his play has been hurting him a lot. And the inconsistency of his accuracy, you know, there's certain things that he's been doing really well. I feel like his athleticism has been really good. His ability to find the correct wide receiver or read the right wide receiver was excellent to start the season, but I feel like lately he's been kind of hesitating on his throws, hesitating on his reads, and tonight the Packers just like threw around the line of scrimmage way too much. So there's something to be said about that, whether it's play calls or Jordan Love not, you know, finding the correct reads or receivers running the wrong routes. We'll never really know truly what it is, but the Packers offense was so stagnant tonight, and it does start with Jordan Love. But I feel like the concepts on the offense just simply weren't good. The Raiders were running a lot of double high safety, and yet the Packers weren't attacking the middle of the field. It seemed like on a lot of their 3rd downs, the receivers weren't running their routes to the sticks, or they weren't designed to go to the sticks, which makes no sense to me. I mean, you're throwing a quick flat route or a 3-yard out to Luke Musgrave on a 3rd and 10. It just doesn't make much sense. They neglected the middle of the field today. And it just reminded me of the old Packers running a lot of isolation routes on the outside, not using too many route concepts to pick defenders and get wide receivers open. Jaden Reed wasn't used up the middle. Luke Musgrave wasn't used up the middle. For the whole first half, they didn't even throw deep at all. They finally started to in the second half, and it started to open up a little bit, but it was too little too late. And that moves me on to my next point. This Packers football team in the first half has been god-awful. Like, this script, by whatever it is on this offense, and even by the defense, even though the defense hasn't been terrible, they haven't been great, but they haven't been terrible. Every time the defense gets a stop, offense does absolutely nothing. And for the last 3 games, the Packers have been outscored at halftime 54-6. You are asking to lose football games if you're being outscored that much in the first half. You're stuck in a hole too deep, and it's too little too late to come back. We saw that last week. We saw it this week. They got, pretty lucky, honestly, against the Saints, because that could have very well been a loss as well because of how slow this team is starting in the first half. And it just continues to be an issue. And it does start with coaching. I feel like the offensive script has been bad. The energy has been bad every single first half. Just in general, it doesn't seem like there's any consistency, energy, momentum, or anything of that sort until the second half. And again, it's just too little too late. Yes, the Packers were only down by a touchdown to start the second half, but there was nothing going for that offense the entire first half. The one impressive thing tonight, and it wasn't even that crazy, was A.J. Dillon's running ability. 20 carries for 76 yards, still only a 3.8 average, but with how bad the passing game was, it made that running game look great because A.J. Dillon was running for tough yards, and honestly, he had a lower average because, again, this run blocking offensive line hasn't been good. A.J. Dillon was gaining a lot of his yards after contact, pushing the pile, driving his legs. I was very impressed with A.J. Dillon tonight. I thought he stepped up to the plate, and if the Packers passing offense did the same thing, they probably win this game. Looking at the receiving stats on this offense, there's an outlier with Christian Watson, 3 receptions, 91 yards because of that 77-yard reception that I have no idea how Watson didn't score on. You let Marcus Peters catch up to you, horse collar tackle, which is a dirty play, smart penalty, but dirty play. I'm just so shocked that didn't end up in a touchdown. The Packers had to settle for 3. If that's not the case, we're at a tie game late in that game. Luke Musgrave, 6 for 34. Josiah DeGuara, 1 for 19. Ben Sims, 1 for 12. Dontavian Wicks, 1 for 10. Jaden Reed, pretty much invisible, 1 for 7. And most importantly, Romeo Doubs, pretty much invisible this entire game. Like, we didn't see him all the way until the second half, where the Packers did a designed bubble screen where he obviously had an easy catch and gained 4 yards. Then late in that fourth quarter, that last drive, dropping a ball on the outside. I've been so impressed with Romeo Doubs up until this week, and he was just invisible today. Jordan Love wasn't targeting him, or he wasn't getting open or something of the sort. Just this passing offense as a whole, it's not all on Romeo Doubs or all on Jordan Love. It seemed like receivers really weren't getting open, and even when they were, it just seemed like Jordan Love either wasn't seeing them or just not throwing the ball accurately. There's a lot that has to be fixed on this offense going into the bye week and going into Denver the week after that. I'm really hoping Aaron Jones is back by that point. I don't think he's going to be the savior or anything, like he's going to make this offense one of the best in the league, but he's surely going to help with how they run that offense, so hopefully he'll be back. But they really need to dive back into their playbook and stop running this pistol, stop running these goofy, trick type of plays where we have Patrick Taylor in an orbit motion and handing off to him after that. And, a Christian Watson in the backfield running like a backwards handoff that lost 5 yards. I feel like every time the Packers are trying to get too cute with their running plays, they lose yards. They ran well tonight. Jordan Love under center, taking the snap, handing it off to A.J. Dillon with a head of steam. That's how you run A.J. Dillon. That's how you run a power running offense. And all this extra stuff they're trying to do, is simply not working. So I really hope they take this bye week to self-reflect and try to dive deep into this offense and understand what they're doing wrong and how to fix it. The Packers offensive line, again, I thought had a pretty poor game. Max Crosby ate all night, where it seemed like they weren't even really trying to block him. Like sometimes we had Ben Sims on him or Musgrave or Patrick Taylor. They weren't double teaming him too much. He had one great stunt where he went unblocked and pressured Jordan Love on that one deep ball to Christian Watson that ended up incomplete as well. You know, you go into this game trying to stop Max Crosby. You should pretty much be double teaming him every time. And there's multiple times they ran the ball right to him and it ended up in a negative, play. So it's like, it's crazy that was happening when you know how good Max Crosby is. Again, the offensive line just struggling tonight. It started hot to start the season, and it's been very, very poor the last few games. As for the defense, I'm not too upset at the defense tonight. Now, there definitely are some things I want to talk about that I cannot stand. And I'm still not saying, Joe Barry shouldn't be out of here, because there's certain times where you're sitting there scratching your head, one of which Preston Smith lining up over Davante Adams in the slot. Like, what is that? Easy first down. I don't understand that. That is absolutely insane to line up Preston Smith over Davante Adams in the slot. Then other third downs. You're playing back off coverage and you're allowing Jacoby Myers wide open on a slant multiple times. I'm sick and tired of this back off, soft, passive defense by Joe Barry. And even through all that, the defense still made their stop. Rudy Ford with a great interception. He's been awesome the last 3 weeks. Quay Walker started hot, ended getting hurt. Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson stepped in. I thought they had a decent game considering the situation. The pass rush was okay. We saw Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary with sacks. Rasul Douglas, I thought, had an awesome game. The defense made their stops when they needed to, and this loss definitely comes down to the offense. Like, this loss is not on the defense, and that's kind of been the case, even last week as well. Like, the defense wasn't terrible. I'm not saying they're great. There's a lot of mistakes, but it's not the reason they're losing. Like, the defense is getting stops when they need to and allowing the offense the opportunity to go and win football games, and it just hasn't been happening. I was impressed by the run defense tonight. The Raiders ran the ball 29 times and didn't even get to 100 yards, 96 yards, 3.3 average. Josh Jacobs, 20 for 69, 3.5 average. So the running defense I thought was great tonight. The Raiders running offense has been poor all year. I kind of expected, them to do okay, but the Packers still did good in terms of run defense. Now, the passing defense, we kind of go into this game worrying about Davante Adams, and I thought mostly they held him in check. 4 receptions, 45 yards. Now, Jacoby Myers is another story. 7 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. The dude was wide open on every single third down across the middle because of the soft zone they were playing. Michael Mayer, started the game hot. He had 2 receptions, 39 yards. Josh Jacobs, 5 for 20. So overall, like I said, the defense didn't do too bad. Like, Jimmy G only went 22 of 31, 208 yards, a touchdown and interception, got sacked 3 times, an 86.5 quarterback rating. So again, this loss isn't on the defense. This loss is on the offense. I'm not saying I wouldn't love to see Joe Barry out of this building, because, this passive defense is just continuing to hurt the Packers, but the offense didn't even do anything when the defense got their stops. So at the end of the day, you got to score more points than the Raiders at 17. This loss is definitely not on the defense. You even have the Raiders miss 2 field goals, one blocked by Josh Nijman of all people, and then the last one bouncing off the goalpost there, where the Raiders probably should have went for it, and it just ended the game that way. It's like you get so lucky with that, and you still lose this game. Another bright spot, Anders Carlson has been money all year. I think he's 5 for 5 on kicks, hasn't missed a PAT, so that was a big worry of ours going into this season. And yet it hasn't been a problem at all. So shout out to Anders Carlson. He's been hitting all the kicks. But man, there's just so much to fix on this football team going into the bye. Usually I hate week 6 buys, but man, this bye couldn't come at a better time for the Packers to get healthier. Hopefully Eric Stokes comes back. Aaron Jones comes back, and also for them to figure it out, because this offense, something needs to change. The opening script hasn't been good at all this year. And it starts with coaching. It starts with Matt LaFleur. They have to be better. They have to get ready for games better. They have to have the mentality the energy, which just hasn't been there. But those are my instant thoughts and reactions to this Week 5 loss, Packers versus Raiders. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments about this team, about this game, so let me know down below. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.